on there, jerk faces? It's your boy Andy, and you're watching Nocturnal Transmissions, brought to you by the Circle of Jerks podcast. It's our weekly live stream where we talk, news, current events, and of course the ever-present movie review. Tonight's movie review will be Witness for the Prosecution, starring Charles Lofton, Tyrone Powers, Marlene Dietrich. It's a be good one. With me as ever is the homeboy Rob.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Yeah, so a lot of things to, as always, a lot of things to talk about.
We always even when we don't really have a lot to talk about, we find something to talk about.
Yes, indeed. We're never want of topics or just generally things that they talk about. Things that something happens like in passing or just something one of us says. We could turn that into an episode.
That is very true.
So that's kind of our superpower here. Again, big ups to our viewers in India, because again, India, you are representing in the at least in the analytics that I check out from time to time. So big ups to the people watching in India.
Oh yeah, awesome. we are far-reaching if we're hidden in India.
I know, right? But yeah, Rob, what's been going on with you?
Not too much. We hung out last week. I had a work function. You and I watched Alien and Aliens last week together, which was pretty fun. Enjoyed that. I also went to a work function last Saturday. Went to a seafood buffet, and then afterwards, a bunch of us, former guests, Gay Alex and Luis, we all kind of went out and had some drinks afterwards. Went to this place called Beetle House in Hollywood, which is one of the wildest places I've ever been to in my life.
Yeah, I heard about that. It's the what is it? The Beetlejuice themed restaurant.
It's
bar.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. And yeah, you get quite a show. I'll just say that.
Yeah, I heard there's like performers or like staff that are dressed as certain characters from the movie, and
yeah, you get. We had the night that we were there. Obviously, we had Beetlejuice. Leatherface made an appearance. We had Chucky. There was this dude that is legit midget, and right. He is dressed up in the Chucky costume. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really see any other way that would work. I mean, you can't have like an average size dude be Chucky.
No,
you just can't. There's no way.
But yeah, that was pretty awesome, and drinks were fun to have. It was kind of just fun. My wife had a good time, so that's all that really matters there. Everyone else got shit faced except for me and my wife. We just kind of just took it easy, but we had a good time with it. And
what a change of pace.
Yeah. Usually it's me.
What a change of pace. Well, actually, I mean, to be fair, the only time, there was only one time where I saw you literally fall down drunk.
Yeah.
And then your wife, it's almost it's kind of like the setting of the sun. It's for sure to happen. Although again, to give credit, the last time I went out with her, she did behave herself, which was refreshing.
Yeah. She's been doing better with that, actually. She doesn't go too crazy anymore.
Right, so she held it. Yeah, the last time we went out, she held it together, and I was appreciative.
But that was, and so we also had plans on going to the Getty Center, but we just ended up both of us, I think, were just like way too freaking tired after Saturday because we stayed out till about like 3 in the morning. I
Mm-hmm.
was like, yeah, I don't think we're we're gonna go. I I wanted to give her rest, because she tires out really quickly. Like, so she can't really go out in multiple nights. And I was also kind of tired myself, so I was like, yeah, we'll do another time. So I took her out for breakfast. This local place in the valley called the Black Bear Diner, which
Mm-hmm.
is, let me tell you, the portions at that place are enormous, and everything.
They're very generous. They're very
Yeah,
generous.
their food is
Yeah.
delicious.
But yeah, I have been there, and again, maybe it was, I came on the wrong day, but I did order country fried steak, and it was a bit on the salty side. Um, but
I haven't
maybe
had that.
perhaps I have to give them another chance, because it's solid kind of like Americana like diner food at that place, and so
Yeah,
and I really do, and I really do enjoy myself like a good like country fried steak now and again.
yeah.
So
I think the country fried steak. I did have their steak and eggs
mm,
before, and that was just like, ooh, yeah, that was real good.
mhm,
That's
yeah,
kind of like one of my favorite things for breakfast, just to have
yeah,
that and hash browns and all that.
yeah, yeah. Man, you know what I haven't had in a long time is the Norm steak and eggs.
Oh, dude, it's still pretty awesome.
Yeah. Although I'm always a little disappointed because they always ask me how I want my steak, and I always tell them how I want my steak, and I always get it like pretty much well. Um,
I have never had that problem. I don't know what it is with you. I have
I
never.
don't know either. I really don't know.
You know what I think it
Hmm.
is because I know a lot of Asian people who do want their steaks or their meat like kind of like medium to like medium well. And so
See,
maybe it's just like one of those things like, oh, well, he's Asian, so he's gonna want it this way.
I know. I like specifically looked them in the eye and I said, I want mine still mooing. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I always kind of like I always try to hedge my bet, and, because every time I say medium, they still give it to me like more on the well done side, and so I said, oh, just give it to me medium rare, and then to a point like I just started saying, just give it to me rare, and then like at one time I looked the waiter straight in the eye and said, I want it still mooing, okay?
Yeah, it's funny because, but to be honest, the only Asians that I know pretty much that want their steaks like medium rare are like you, Eric, and my wife.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because my parents, they were a little resistant to like the whole medium thing too, because for some reason they think that they're eating blood, which isn't, and there were some few bad experiences. My dad, he tried to make ribs once, and
Mhm.
he did it like, instead of doing the low and slow, like, he just tried to grill them, like these big
Oh,
like fat
no, no,
these big fat beef ribs, and
no.
they kind of ended up like black on the outside and raw on the inside.
Oh, that's a rookie mistake right there.
Yeah, no, I mean,
No,
again, it was
no.
the first time my dad was trying this. So yeah, mistakes were made. Um, so and then like when when we like started cutting into them, like, yeah, like all this like heme, which is the red part of blood, came out, and my mom thought that that was blood, and she's like, oh, never again. But that was until I properly introduced my parents to the medium for steak, and like after I did that, they couldn't get enough of it. So
Right.
and so now, like, whenever we have steaks, I'm always the one to make it because I always make it correctly.
That's the way to go.
That's the way to go. But yeah, I mean, I like, and it's not even just at Norms. Like, I'll go to and again, like, yeah, I know they're not steak places. I've been to Denny's, I've been to Caro's and Marie Callender and things like that. And whenever I've ordered steak, or like not like these really nice steak places, just kind of like these diner places. And every single time I ask for medium steak, it always comes more on the well done side.
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you, man. Uh,
Yeah, it's pretty freaking annoying. Let me just say that.
I've never once had that issue. I don't know. I don't know why.
Must be nice.
Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much like my weekend. Oh, was that I? It's funny. I was trying to get my wife to uh, watch this movie called Before Sunrise. I've been talking about it a little bit recently with Ethan Hawke and I forget the actress's name at the moment. But anyways, I was like, oh, it's kind of a nice like, because I kind of did force her, it's like, hey, rewatch Aliens with me, because we were getting ready to do a review on it, and she was like, oh, well, can we watch like something like nice afterwards? I was like, okay, well, we'll watch this. Like, this is the complete opposite of like what Aliens is. It's more of a romance-ish movie. But then and it's like, no, I think because she was like, I was really excited by Aliens. Like, let's just watch some more action movies. I was like, oh, okay. And then I remembered I was going through like a list of stuff, and it's like, oh, Daybreakers came up, and I remember you talking to me about Daybreakers,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, I didn't realize it was about vampires. I just knew who the actors were that were in it,
Mm-hmm.
and we watched, or we read the premise and had her watch the trailer. She's like, that looks cool. Let's watch that. I was like, okay, let's watch it. And she loved it. And just kind of this is definitely a movie that we'll be talking about soon. But what a nice twist on the vampire genre,
Mm.
where it's not like kind of the Bram Stoker-esque Dracula story. It's not the Universal monster type of story, like with the Universal with Bela Lugosi or the Hammer films. This is its own kind of, or like even with Interview with the Vampire, which I'm not a fan of, but people are, and it's not even that. But it's definitely like a nice twist on everything.
Right. Yeah. Daybreakers. It's more like what if being a vampire was kind of normalized, and it just became mundane, and it was like stripped of all of like kind of like the romanticism and mystique, and it was just like kind of like say, hey, it's just like your neighbor's like, oh, hey Fred, how's it going? It's like, oh, it seems like it's like not getting enough water on your uh, begonias or whatever.
Yeah, it was just such a cool, and like all the how like the world changes based off of everyone being a vampire. It was just so interesting. I was like, wow, this is well done. I mean, some of the effects are not like the best, but
Mhm.
other than that, it's a damn good movie.
Right,
Uh,
and there are themes that like are I think relevant for today. Um,
100%, 100%.
again, particularly for in the last 2 years,
Yeah.
relevant. That kind of relevant. Um, and so, yeah, I think I think we should talk about it or review it at some point, but
It
sometime down the line.
it was one of those movies that just like I was actually, when I was watching, I was like, well, I know Andy likes it, and I was like, okay, like let's watch this, and then it just kind of smacked me in the face. Like I was like, oh shit, this is cool.
Yeah,
How did I miss this? Because I'm a sucker for a good vampire movie.
absolutely.
But that's my weekend. That's what I did.
All right, very well. Well, I guess just before we get into the topic, I'm gonna give you the floor to rant about something that you like. I know that you just need to get off your chest.
Yeah.
And yesterday during filming for one of for the main podcast, it was one of those where like it was like me. It was like the equivalent of me stopping recording to rant about Star Wars. or at least Last Jedi. At least Last Jedi.
Yeah.
And so I want you to get it all out of your system. So I'm gonna give you the floor, for you to just get it all out there.
So also part of my weekend was I was super excited because when you came over to watch Alien and Aliens with me, we in the mail. I I've been really looking forward to watching the what's known as the Vengeance trilogy. So it's a Korean film trilogy directed by Park Chan Wook. It's Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance. The famous one is definitely Old Boy. That's the one that people know. And then there's also Lady Vengeance. And these are considered some of like the top Korean films to watch. And I've been dying to watch these films. And I looked, I looked high and low to find like if for like a good price on the Blu-ray, so that way I could watch all three films, in succession. So it's the first one is Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance, then it's Old Boy, and then after that is Lady Vengeance. So the first one came out in 2003, and I think Old Boy came out the same year as well. So like they were done. I guess maybe probably one came out earlier in the year, and the other one came out at the end of the year. And then Lady Vengeance came out a couple years later. That was 2005. So it's an older franchise. But I was like, I've been and friend of the podcast, Eric, has been telling me that I need to watch Old Boy. And so when I was looking it up, I was like, oh, there's these other movies that are
Wait.
kind of
Oh yeah, I knew this. Yeah, I was like, for a second I was surprised that you haven't seen Old Boy, but then it's like I already knew this, that you have. I already knew that you didn't see Old Boy yet, so I don't know like why I'm like so surprised.
Yeah. So yes, I have still yet to see Old Boy, but I was like, okay, well now that I know it's part of a trilogy, I'm one of those. I'm a completionist. Like, okay, well I want to watch everything that's connected to this. So even if it's only like it's not like a direct sequels per se. It's more of a thematic connection. But I was like, I gotta
okay.
watch.
So it's kind of like with Tyler Sheridan and his
Bingo.
and it's like the Hell or High Water, Wind River, Sicario. They're not in the same. Are they? They could be in the same universe if they're a trilogy. But there's no like real interconnectivity.
Right, exactly. So I was like, okay, cool. So I was looking for this Blu-ray, and I finally found like one for the right price, and nothing on the description, showed that. I was like, because the problem we have is like, oh, so I can't buy necessarily like foreign DVDs or Blu-rays because for whatever dumbass reason we can't play their what is known as region locked. It's which is bullshit. And so when this came in the mail, I was super excited. Monday, I had nothing going on, and I was gonna sit down and watch this trilogy. Well, guess what? This the one that I got. Uh, Even though it said nothing about being region locked, it's region locked. But it's the European version. It's the PAL version. And because all the descriptions on the back are in English. Everything on the DVDs is in English, so it's going to be Korean with English subtitles. But I can't fucking watch it. Why? Because we have to have. Why do we have to have a region lock? I understand maybe for like in the video when it comes to the video game world, because some of the hardware does run differently based off for some reason. So like something definitely back in like the old time, like the NES era, the Super Nintendo era, the Sega Genesis era. The equipment in Japan and in Europe and in America were different, but like nowadays, it doesn't really make any sense. Why can I play a foreign game on like the console? They're the same fucking thing now. Like it doesn't make any sense. And then same thing with like, but even more egregious is the fucking Blu-rays. Why can't I play this in America? It doesn't make any goddamn sense. The Blu-ray, I would have to buy a special Blu-ray player just to play this, and that costs a lot of money. Where you would get like this region or unlocked region or region-free Blu-ray player, and it's like I'm not gonna do that. It's stupid, and everyone's like, "Oh, you need to watch all these foreign films." Like I want to watch this. I know that they're good movies, and I'm stuck with like I have to pirate them. I don't want to pirate them. I want to support Park Chan-wook and his films because I know he's a good director. But I can't do it because I can't fucking watch him. So I'm gonna have to pirate his shit. Or I could, I could also watch the shitty American version of Old Boy, but I don't want to do that to myself. I don't want that to be the first thing that I see. It's like it's just
Yeah, the American made Old Boy, it's hot garbage. Although you do get to see Elizabeth Olsen's titties, but that's about it.
That might be, you know what? That might be worth the price of admission. I might just have to do that. I think that's on Netflix right now too, so I could watch it if I wanted to. But it's just like I want to watch it in how it was originally intended to be viewed.
Right.
In Korean, obviously I need English subtitles. My Korean is okay, but not good enough for like something like this. And it's such a and even on like the damn because my wife has some of like the Korean like streaming services, and they're not on there either for some fucked up reason. So it's like, how am I supposed to watch this stuff when all the Blu-rays that I have seen that exist are all region locked? Either they're in certain parts of Asia or from Europe. There's no American Blu-ray DVD release of this film. Why? It doesn't. I mean, we have Parasite, which is obviously was one we've talked about, one best film. They have a Criterion release of that. I can watch pretty much all these. Like we're gonna be talking about a movie called The Housemaid next week, which is on Criterion. It's a Criterion release now. It was resurrected, brought back from the dead by Martin Scorsese. I can watch that. I can watch the whole freaking Zatoichi series. I have that. I can watch all Kurosawa's work. Why can't I watch this? It doesn't make any goddamn sense. I'm so mad because I really don't want to pirate it, but now that's my only option.
Right. I mean, and like I think the thing that kind of confounds me is that there is such a limiting technology like this, that it's gotten to the point where now we can keep people from watching certain types of content. Um, yeah, that we have the ability to limit the viewership of certain content in a medium where we think that, oh, this is the way around like certain restrictions or limitations. Like, oh, just get the physical copy. It's like, well, now like there's this thing where it's basically I mean, to make a Star Wars reference, it's like they're putting a restraining bolt on DVDs, and so like
exactly.
And it's just like. I'm just confounded by like why they would do this, and what is the rationale of this? I really can't wrap my head around it. Like I can maybe like squeeze out like a theory or two, but even still, it's just like what use is this like specific technology to limit viewership?
Well, exactly, right? Like it's not like I understand like back in the past, like I was talking like the video game uh example is that, because even like, when it comes to like, like back in the NES era, the cartridges for the American NES is different from the Famicom. They look different too. Like the way that it plays. I mean, the game looks the same, but the way the hardware and the software are different. So they're not compatible. So that makes sense. Yeah, I understand like why one wouldn't work with the other. But as we've merged more into this, DVD, Blu-ray type era, there is no reason, because this is a Blu-ray disc. I have, through my consoles, I have the PS3, I have the PS4, and the Xbox One. All are Blu-ray players because I play all my Blu-rays on there. So they can all play Blu-rays. There is no fucking reason why I should not be able to watch this. Just because it's the fucking it's the European version. Who gives a shit? Why is this locked out for me to be able to watch? And I'm assuming that it's the same thing over in like Asia or Europe, like where they're not able to get certain releases on stuff, like where they can't watch stuff from like, getting an American copy of something. Why? That's bullshit too. Why should they be limited too from like their releases? It doesn't make any sense. So it's just like it makes this is one of the reasons why there's piracy. Obviously, like, one, people don't want to pay for stuff, that's fine. But like, if you're a physical release person like myself, I do enjoy having a physical release, and I like to support the directors and the actors and the movies that I really like. And this is one of those. I want to support this guy. And I can't do it. Now I'm gonna have to go through like these back channels just to watch these movies. It's fucked
Right?
up.
Yeah. It's again like I can't imagine if like back in the day they were able to do, they had this kind of technology for like VHS. Like you weren't able you weren't able to like play, yeah, like same situation but just with VHS. Like imagine if that were to happen, like how quickly would film companies or studios be limiting themselves for for with by region locking their
Yeah.
content. It's like he's like I would imagine you want as many eyeballs on your product as possible. Um, and it's like especially like with these movies, like they came out like almost what
I mean, we're going
almost like,
on
yeah, going on 10 years.
20 years.
Oh right, 20, oh geez, 20, yeah, almost going on 20 years. And so it's like you don't want to try and I mean, well, I mean, you bought it, so they already kind of gained from that. But it's like, why then apply this extra hurdle to get to your content? You know,
Yeah, exactly.
it's like, yeah,
And
as a studio or as a for-profit entity, I would think you'd want as many people um, as you can to watch your stuff.
the other thing that like it just boggles my mind too, because I've even done the whole like, because I have like a VPN. I went all through all that stuff, like where I was trying to like try different areas, like and then but it's on no streaming service that I can find. It's not on the Korean streaming services. It's not on like when I've gone through like Korea or Japan or throughout Asia or even like Europe. It's not like because the Netflix outlook changes when you go to other areas. It's not there
Mm-hmm.
either. I mean, maybe I can check like Tubi, which also changes its lineup based off of like where the VPN is set. So maybe I'll check there, but it's like it's such a pain in the ass. Like, and the fact that it's like even doing that it's not on any streaming service, and we watched like what I would say is a very obscure. We've done You Are My Sunshine. That's a pretty obscure Korean film. I had never heard of it. The only
Mm-hmm.
reason I knew about it is from you.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be watching another super obscure Korean film next week, The Housemaid. and it was only through like dumb luck that I found that on Criterion. It's just like what, why? But then like these ones, everyone talks about, and I can't find them anywhere. I mean,
Right.
like I said, I can watch this shitty American re-release of remake of Old Boy, but I don't want to do that outside of maybe just seeing Elizabeth Olsen's boobs. And it's not that there's bad actors in there. That's not the problem. It's just why can't we have like a release here in America? Even like it's because I understand like after for a certain time they want to keep it in Korea or whatever. I understand that, but obviously they it was such a Old Boy was so popular that they're like, oh yeah, let's bring this to America, but we're not going to just release it with the Korean actors. We're just going to redo it. And I was like, I hate it. I really hated it. I hate this, Andy. It pissed me off. I'm still upset. Yeah, I just until I can watch these damn films, I'm not going to be happy about it.
Yeah. Or at least, yeah. I think I found because there's this website that I use that has like dramas and Korean movies and stuff. I think I did
Mhm.
find it.
Okay,
Yes.
please send me that link.
I'll send it to you after the stream.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's again, I am completely befuddled and flabbergasted, like just. I mean, especially now with like especially with like the Star Wars and like even ET. Um, ET. Uh, if you don't know, they actually changed a lot of stuff uh, from
Oh, they
that
changed
movie.
the freaking guns to the stupid radios.
Right. Well, like
Although,
even in the beginning, when like the federal agents first come and surround the house, like there's they come in with guns, and
yeah.
then they switched that to I think flashlights. I think
Do you,
to some expense to Steven Spielberg, like he like completely reshot that scene and just added on to
yeah.
the movie. Um, and then
I
also like
believe.
when Elliot and his brothers and like their friends they go they get lifted up into the air, getting past the police barricade. Initially, those cops they're carrying shotguns,
Yep.
but in the re-release they because again what is it content creator that I follow his name is Bill Whittle, and he's like always and he brought this to my attention a while ago, but he was the one that pointed out to me like how you know that certain people of a certain ideological bent they're always trying to change history, and one and like and people might not think of it as a big deal, but when you change like a movie, you're changing history. Because there's some there's people who saw it when it first came out and they remember it this way, but then years later they switch it and it becomes this it becomes something else, and the meaning becomes something else.
Yeah.
Um,
I
and
think what the inspiration behind that was is because the re-release of Star Wars in kind of like the running up to the prequels was such a success that like Spielberg is like because Spielberg and Lucas and which one and uh who the fuck did Apocalypse Now?
is it Coppola?
Yeah, Coppola. Thank you. I mean, all those guys ran together, right?
Yeah.
So uh, Spielberg's like, yeah, I'm gonna do my own special edition re-release of ET. But unlike Lucas, to his credit, you can't like you. I think the new Blu-ray release of ET, you can watch the
The
original
theatrical.
theatrical cut
Mhm.
and the special, new edition of it. So
Mhm.
so it's not like completely lost. You cannot unless like you have like some sort of old format, you cannot watch Star Wars, the original Star Wars
Right.
trilogy, without all the fucking bullshit that they changed in there.
Right. Yeah. A point that the creator Bill Whittle he pointed out was that when Lucas and Spielberg made those movies, they were young men, and so but then after they had children, they didn't want to, and there's I think it was at a time when like gun violence was kind of like on the uptick, and so like they're like,
Yes.
oh, like I don't want to promote gun violence, and so that was kind of like the motivation to go
They're
back and
making it
change it a
like
little bit. But again, like with the Han Solo example, it's that Greedo had draw down on Han Solo. He was already being threatened. So like so
exactly.
Han Solo shooting him was completely justified because Greedo even said like he didn't care and that he was just gonna kill him and drag Han Solo's dead corpse to Jabba to collect his bounty. That's already a threat. Greedo was already threatening him. He didn't need the fig leaf of Greedo shooting first and then Han Solo shooting back at him. Han Solo was already being threatened.
Exactly. And it's that like that's to me that is one of the most egregious ones. There is also the end of Return of the Jedi where they replaced the guy that was Anakin and they replaced him with Hayden Christensen, which like I said, I like Hayden Christensen. I think he did a good job with his role.
Oh
Now that I
yeah,
better understand like what he was trying to do, I was like, okay, it makes sense of like why it wasn't bad acting. It wasn't like wooden acting. He was doing something on purpose, to
right,
like because
yeah. And ultimately, he was doing the best with what he was given.
right. But essentially, it's a giant fuck you to the person that was initially in that scene at the end of Return of the Jedi, where it's like they just completely like retcon that dude from existence, essentially.
Mm.
And like it's to the point where like I actually like I know that it's a different person, but I can't even remember the guy's face anymore because a movie that I watched a shit ton as a kid before all the special editions came out, and it's like I have I no longer have access to that. I don't have a VHS, and I don't have
Oh,
those old.
yeah, because yeah, respect. The actor was Sebastian Shaw.
Thank you, Sebastian Shaw. But yeah, I don't even remember what his fucking face looks like anymore because the Luke like that's the thing. It's like do what Spielberg did. Have 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 the original cut, and if you want to have like this, and then also include like your special edition stuff, so people get a chance to see the difference, to see what all. We literally just watched like the Alien and Aliens. What's good about this Blu-ray? What's good about this one? They have both versions. They have in Alien, they have the theatrical cut, they have the director's cut. Aliens has the theatrical version and it has the special edition with the extra stuff. Uh, Same thing with Alien 3 and Alien Resurrection. It has all this extra stuff, so you get to see both versions of the film. Why can't George Lucas do that?
Yeah,
I don't
precisely.
understand.
Yeah, exactly. And again, like, I mean, I and in a ways, I do understand why George Lucas sold off Star Wars to Disney because, like, his people like were roasting him so hard over the prequels. And I mean, and then in terms of what we got with like Disney, like the prequels are masterpieces in comparison.
Oh, fuck yeah, they are.
Um,
The only good one that Disney did was Rogue One.
yeah, I'll give them Rogue One.
I
Yeah.
actually really like Rogue One. I
Mhm.
know not a lot of people liked it, but I thought it was actually really damn good.
Yeah, again, like not perfect, but I mean, pretty damn good.
It's a fucking masterpiece compared to everything else.
True, very true. Um, but yeah, I mean, what was going to be my point? Um, right, and I mean,
My
just like to yeah, and yeah, I mean, to in defense of Sebastian Shaw, it's just like you know, yeah, he wasn't the guy in the suit the entire time, but like he was the face that we got to see, like old Anakin,
yeah,
um, and it's like he should have some recognition, and I understand. I mean, I understand, why they went back and switched him out for Hayden Christensen because again it's kind of a retcon, but
and that like I said,
but it was like
it makes
but the
it makes
justification was that like him as like the kind of like angelic Anakin Skywalker, that was when he was most attuned with the Force, and so that's how the Force that's how he gets to be uh, that's how he gets to manifest in the Force. Okay, all
exactly
right, fine. Okay, fine, fair enough. But still, like again, like to your point, like yes, include both versions.
and
Honor
that
like because honor your work that came before, you know, and also honor the work of the actor. Sebastian Shaw was like not the the actor that was in the Vader suit the entire time. I forget who that actor was who was just in the suit.
right,
Um,
right.
because like even he doesn't get like that much credit because his performance is outshined by the voice work of James Earl Jones.
Right, right.
Um, so yeah, I mean at least give like the actors their due and like give the actor who portrayed Anakin at the very end of the original trilogy his due.
And this is a because we're at a time too, like where I think we have people that care about film history and the past, and because we are, I think we're doing a better job of even like the with the. I mean, there's a lot of garbage out there, but like even with like the great movies, we're seeing where I think people are preserving things better, and obviously in a digital age, it's much easier to do that. Uh, but like I look at stuff like Seven Samurai. You know this is a film that like it's a masterpiece that has has lived on for what going on 70 years now. Essentially, it's almost this movie is almost 70 years old. That's insane. That's crazy to me. Uh, but like there's all these films that are being they're like finding pieces. We just did Metropolis, right? That's a
Mm-hmm.
film that like so much of it was lost, and they were able to over time they just found these bits and pieces, and they pretty much got it back to its almost original format. And people want that. They want to see like what the original vision for the film was. um Imagine like if uh the Snyder cut of Justice League never came out, which is a
Mm-hmm.
far superior film to the
Mm-hmm.
Justice League. But imagine like that never comes out. They just dump that in the trash. They delete all the data.
Right.
Uh, we never get to see that vision, and it's like, oh well. I mean,
Yeah.
DC did shit the
Yeah.
bed,
Oh
but
yeah. I mean yeah, and we do. Yeah. DC kind of shot themselves in the foot. But yeah, like you wouldn't like see Zack Snyder's original vision for the Flash. Like and like he actually made me care about the Flash. It made me go like actually made me care for the character. Um,
exactly.
I mean,
And
despite like the actor portraying the character's personal like dumpster fire of a life, but it's just like it's like what like and then like it made the Flash more relevant to the plot. Um,
right.
and
Well, and even with Aliens, like when we watched the special edition, and James Cameron, like before the movie started, said like, hey, this was my initial intention of what I wanted to put out in theaters. But and at the time, people wanted to have like an hour and a half movie. That was kind of like that was where a lot of studios were like, no, we got to have an hour and a half movie and get it down to an hour and a half. And
right.
so and while the theatrical cut is still very good, I like it. And some people would say like, oh, it's kind of unnecessary to have all this extra stuff, but I think it just adds some good context to the film.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that like we get to see the theatrical cut, but we also get to see the director's initial intention, like stuff like that. That should be like what these Blu-rays are doing. Like, let's see like a couple different versions of the film. Like, what is the um the because nowadays we're getting like there's all these like little cuts, and even like back in the past, we have these films that are like Metropolis that got so many different cuts from like where it was being the U.S. version's different than the German version, then like the English version to like whatever was sent over to South America. And it's because people were dedicated and they just kept finding like these little bits and pieces. They were able to kind of bring it back together to an almost whole thing, and that's I like that, and that's why I'm so mad. Like with this stupid idea with the fucking region locking. Why are we doing that now? There's no reason, because the technology is there. The equipment is essentially the same. It's what you're
Right.
what you're buying.
I mean, there's a standardization. There's a uniformity
There's
of hardware.
there's a hell of a lot more standardization than there was, even 20 years ago, 20,
Mm-hmm.
30 years ago. There's no fucking reason to have region locking anymore. It just doesn't make sense. Like, why should I be locked out from watching this film, or, in a physical media sense?
Right.
So
And
now
yeah, it's like, and like to the point, like I can't believe like they even have like this technology where you could take a DVD that's from, or that's supposed to be for the European market, and then bring it to America, and then stick it into your DVD player, and then or at least in this case, your console system, and like because your console system is connected to the internet, like it could then kind of triangulate your locations. Like, oh, well, you're not in Europe, so you can't watch this.
yeah, it's bullshit. But even like I don't know, like they have like these mechanisms in place, as far as the hardware goes, like where they essentially like there's no
Right.
like they do that. I think it's arbitrarily that they do that. It does it like It's stupid. It's
Right.
really
Yeah.
dumb.
I mean, what is it? Like my camera, I have a 5D Mark III that I'm using to, for this stream, and it has recording capability, like for video, and what is it? Uh, it has a limitation on the recording of about 30 minutes. Um, and like the only reason it does that is because this is supposed to be what is it, a camera that takes pictures but is also capable of video recording, not necessarily a video camera or camcorder. Um, so because of that, like that, because of that distinction, um, yeah, we lost Rob, but hold on. Yeah, hold on. Your video is, yeah, it's frozen. Um, yeah, but I was just explaining that. What is it? Oh, great! I totally lost my train of thought.
No, about like your camera.
Oh, right, my camera. But right, it's just like kind of like my camera that. Okay, I know I'm repeating myself, but bear with me, audience. Um, my camera, that I used for this stream, it's capable of doing video recording, but it's technically a still camera, and so like they put a limit of 30 minutes on it, and
Right.
um, and it's kind of like an arbitrary thing because I think it's from like for Europe, like it's a thing and it's some like tax status thing. So like video like camcorders are taxed differently than DSLRs,
Right, right.
and so and so that's why they put in that limit of 30 minutes. Uh, because like if it was a camcorder, it'd be taxed higher, and if it's just a camera that's capable of video capture, then it's taxed at a different rate.
But yeah, I think this thing is really dumb, especially at this day and age. Like there's really no reason to have it, and I just want to watch these awesome movies, and they're making it such a huge pain in the ass.
Right.
But that's all I had to say about that. I feel a little bit better now that I got that off my chest.
Sure you are.
And I hope, like I said, my hope is that, like, listen, I know just even from like my Twitter feed, like there's a lot of American fans that are fans of Park Chan-wook, and they wanna see his films, and there's no fucking reason that we shouldn't have. Fine, if you're gonna have regional, I can at least give us a US Blu-ray release.
Mm-hmm.
And like the other thing I'm sad about, because there's some cool extras on here that I'm not gonna be able to see. So it's kind of pisses me off. So it's just like these little extra things that. Because I was hoping like at some point down the line maybe we could talk about these films, but it's been an uphill battle. I'll just say that. I'm trying, like I said, I'm trying to kind of build up a physical release library of movies. At least like the ones that I really like, or the ones that I know are really good. Like ones that like, because I'm planning on getting because I'm gonna get like the Nosferatu Blu-ray. I want to get Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer, which we reviewed. I want to get there's a few. I want to get like Jimbo and Sanjuro, which are a dual pack. Just because I love those are some of my favorite films. I want to get a Casablanca Blu-ray, Psycho, kind of the same, kind of like the my top movies of all time, so that I that way I can always go back and watch these great movies.
All right. Well, have you achieved catharsis?
I'm okay. Like my I'm still hurt, but I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna survive it, guys.
All right. All right. Well, now that you got that off your chest, let's get into some of the topics for tonight. Well, there are only two. I guess let's start with the most recent one, and that would be Dr. Anthony Fauci. Lord Fauci, hallowed be his name, is stepping down from his position as head of the NIAID effective in December.
Dr. Fauci.
Dr. Fauci's. Yeah. 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 It's like Hydra. Cut off one head, two more grow back in its place.
I mean, I would say like, well, maybe it's because that's one of those things that's a position that does get appointed by the president, and obviously, like well, it's not gonna be Joe Biden, but it's gonna be the blob that is attached with Joe Biden is gonna make a decision on who should take over, and it's just gonna be another Dr. Anthony Fauci, and
another swamp creature,
and who knows who that is. What my hope is, and that I think that after everything that's happened the past couple of years, I think there's a lot of people that are like, wait a second, they're starting to see like that Fauci was he was a political animal, for one,
Oh yeah.
and I think that they got tired of him. I think the majority, like I'm talking about, like the majority of the public. It doesn't matter like what side of the aisle you're on, but I think most people realize like, okay, this guy has way too much power for a unelected position. He definitely operated well outside. And when you start like expose a lot of the stuff that him and that his organization were into, which is like definitely really shady. So I'm thinking that like moving forward, that people are going to wake up to that, and we're not going to have another guy that's going to last 7 decades, in that position. I know he didn't. But he's been there for a long time, like since
Yeah. I
what,
mean, yeah.
Carter?
No, the Reagan installed him. I think.
Was it Reagan that installed
I
him? Yeah,
believe so.
I mean,
Yeah.
but still, that's a long fucking time.
Yeah. So I mean, that was definitely before either of us were born.
Yeah, that's insane. And yeah, I think people are not going to stand for that anymore. And hopefully, as things progress politically, like I'm hoping that we finally start. Cause we're starting to see some people within, in the conservative movement who are starting to get that have a backbone. And you know why? Like I kind of like these guys because everybody hates them. At least all the people that like we hate them. And I think that's a good thing. It's like they are shaking things up, and I think there's more people are like, yeah, I think what they're saying is right, and that we need to get behind more people like that who are willing to, kind of like, we got to get rid of these people. And I know Trump was doing something to try to like eliminate some of these unelected bureaucrats that just stick around forever. It didn't quite happen, because the whole last year ended up being kind of a disaster. But he was working on something that is changing, like how those people were designated.
Right.
And so he was going to change their designation to something where they would be able to be fired. And I was like, like I said, I said I'm not voting for Trump in the primary because he's too old. But I think that someone that is running in the same like vein as like Trump was in 2016, I hope they pick that back up, and it's like, yeah, let's do that. Let's get rid of these fucking people, because these guys, elected officials come and go, or well, some of them just stay forever, but they come and go, but these guys last forever, and they're the ones that are, for whatever reason, they're dictating policy. Like, places like the EPA, FDA, all these places are really the ones behind our laws.
CDC bypassed like regulatory statutes to impose what is it, a rent freeze, during like the pandemic.
What does the CDC have to do with that?
Yeah, what does the CDC have to do with people's rent? Nothing.
So it's stuff like that. And I even like because the legislature is just completely given up, but like these people are the ones that are really creating the laws in the land. And so if we can change how like these people are designated, and we can get rid of them, I'm all for it. I think the heads of these organizations, if we're not going to just outright get rid of these organizations that we don't need, like, honestly, Homeland Security to me has been about as helpful as a staple in a single sheet of paper.
I like that. That's funny.
Yeah, I mean, the TSA they're horrible at they haven't stopped anything. It's like it.
Right, and I mean, what is it? I know, like he's like, I know he's a leftist hack, but that guy Adam King, like that Adam ruins everything guy,
Yeah.
he exposed like the whole thing about security theater with the airport check-in or the airport
Yeah.
security checks.
That
It's
was
like,
one of the people. I was like, yeah, I told you and me, like we don't agree politically, but on this issue, we totally agree.
yeah,
It's like,
it's
no.
security theater. It's supposed to make you feel as though, because like what I mean, if you're thinking of like a paramilitary organization, what organization is gonna use the same tactic again? Like that's stupid because like your enemy is, unless you think your enemy is is incompetent, like they're not gonna come up with some sort of countermeasure to foil that particular way to attack them. Then then you're stupid.
It's kind of the idea of, and I forgot who said this, but it made so much sense. Where it's like, we're always fighting the last war, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so when it comes to these security measures, okay, well they're not going to do this again, and it's like, yeah, you guess who's not going to do that again? Those guys. They're going to find some other way to attack. Um, they're not going to use a plane again. I'm sorry, it's just not going to happen because the people I think are much more aware of like these type of characters, and they're not. I don't think the passengers are like, fuck this guy. No, I mean at
Right.
the
I mean
very
that's and that's what I mean. I'm not saying that that it was fake, but that's why they had to go with like the whole like underwear bomber thing, because now or like the shoe bomber, and that's how they got people to take off their shoes and like submit themselves to like a pretty invasive body scan.
I'm all for like the idea of having kind of like the hidden air marshals on board.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's smart. You don't know who those guys are, but they're on supposedly on every flight.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a good idea. Uh,
Oh yeah, yeah,
I see
like,
a
and yeah, have them loaded with like some hollow points.
And it's like, do you have a problem with that? Because I certainly don't.
Yeah, I'm good with it.
Yeah, we don't need all this other shit. The TSA is useless. They don't do anything other than be a huge pain in the fucking ass.
Yeah, and again, implement very invasive body scans.
Yeah.
Right, and like even before they came up with like these body scan machines that pierce through clothes, like they were getting very personal with like the hand checks.
Yeah, and it's like, listen, the other thing too is like, wow, let's check that like 95-year-old grandmother. We're gonna do a a whole strip search of her. She's not gonna blow up the fucking plane, okay?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Robin Williams had a really funny, I mean, God rest his soul, but he had a really funny stand-up bit about that, about like the 90-year-old grandmother. It's like, what? Because I'm gonna knit an Afghan.
Yeah, it's like, and then or like the 3-year-old in like their stroller, or the guy that's in his that's handicapped, has like no legs in the wheelchair. No, those are the guys we need to strip down. Oh, but Mohammed bin Salam or whatever the fuck his name is, yeah, that's the guy that's gonna do that shit. Okay, it's okay. Just rip off the Band-Aid. We all know like that's, and it's okay to like the people that are committing like these terrorist acts. Sorry, they're gonna have names like that. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, sorry, not sorry. But like, well, let's get us back on track a bit. Like the whole Fauci resigning is very surprising because he did do an interview saying like that he wasn't going to go anywhere. Just like a couple, I think a month or so ago. But yeah, like when asked, he's like, "Oh, when do you think like you'll retire or whatever?" It's like, "Oh," he's like, "Well, actually, I'll only go, I think I'll only go when the president asks me to go, and then all of a sudden, like, and this was like he literally again, flip flopping Fauci. He literally, after he said those things, he came out and came out with this, and a lot of people are speculating that. What is it? A lot of people are speculating that he's only doing this because he's afraid of the the red tsunami, as it were, coming in, and that when the Republicans do get into power, that that they're gonna investigate his ass.
Oh, well, it's gonna happen. I mean, they should do it anyways, regardless if he was retired, and they should strip him of all his fucking money. I'm sorry, you don't get the golden parachute.
Right. I mean, yeah. For those of you unaware, Fauci is the highest paid government employee. I mean, right now, like
Yeah.
even like during the time of Trump, he was paid more than Trump.
Yep.
And so and like now, now that he's retiring, he still gets like something around like $350,000 a year.
Yeah, it's a certain percentage of what he was getting, which is
it's his what is it? His pension? Yeah, his pension is $350,000 a year. Like he's not gonna be hurting money, and like that's not even including like all like the backdoor deals and what is it, the royalties for like the vaccines or whatever.
And I think the other reason why he's stepping down too is that he's no longer the useful tool for the regime. It's like Biden
or at least the powers that be.
Yeah, they don't need him anymore. He's unpopular and he's not helping them. So they probably told him, it's time to step down. We're gonna get somebody else.
You have your golden parachute, so you'll be fine. And then they're just gonna bring in like this new Fauci, probably a younger guy.
It's not gonna be a guy.
Right. No, it's gonna be a black trans woman of. It's gonna be a black trans woman of color. And I know I said black and then woman of color, but whatever.
Who cares? It's that's what's gonna happen. But we'll see. We'll see who
No, but I wanted to note that even though I said black and then woman of color, like that literally means nothing anymore.
None of those words mean anything.
None of those words mean anything. I seriously just want to talk, I haven't been around leftists in a long time, but I just really want to start just going, it's like, yeah, man, all these colored people, man, good for them, and just see these colored people, it's like, and then I want, I so want them to correct me and be like, excuse me, it's person of color. It's like, what's the difference?
Tell me what the difference is.
Yeah, tell me what the difference is. And just watch their heads explode.
Yeah. Well, we added a preposition and we flipped the words around.
But they mean the same thing. Oh.
Honestly, we talk about this. When you listen to stuff some of the things that Malcolm X said, the words that he said. Okay, I understand he's a black guy, but that would freak people out. You would never hear someone today using the terms that Malcolm X did.
Oh, yeah, like Negro or
the so-called Negro.
Yeah, the so-called Negro. They shit themselves.
Colored people, stuff that's so it was unoffensive then, but now it's offensive. It doesn't.
Right, because reasons.
Because reasons. You're right.
Because reasons. But I mean, good riddance to Fauci. But I know some other swamp creature is gonna take his place. But
people be crying their eyes out when Fauci leaves.
Yeah. Oh, did you see that interview that he did? It's kind of jerking himself off in front of everybody, saying I'm not saying that it's good, but they call it the Fauci effect, and it's I'm not saying that I did, but I inspire people to get into the science. It's just he was literally jerking himself off on TV.
You inspired people to get into the science field to kick out people like you who have no idea what the fuck they're talking about.
Yeah, but again, it's so masturbatory and His shit didn't stink, and like, oh, like, he, like, every like no one hates him. It's like nobody hates me. And it's like this guy does not live in reality.
He doesn't. It's yeah. Well, good riddance. We'll get another swamp creature, but I think people are. I'm a little more hopeful that more people are awake to the bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, if the silver lining in all this is like that. Yeah, the people are now more aware of the bullshit, and and like what is it, like, the the kind of what's the right way of saying it? But, like, kind of like the drunk on power kind of stuff that these
Exactly.
like, the veil is down, right? And we see, like, they're just like drunk on power, and like now it's like just like they want to have the power to control your lives, and like people see that now. It's like when the CDC comes out with guidelines saying like, oh yeah, it's like, if your neighbor comes within 3 feet of you, it's okay to bash your heads in. It's like, what?
Yeah.
But people are starting to see, and again, that's the silver lining in all of this. I mean, I'm really saddened and embarrassed that it took almost like 3 years of this shit for people to be like, it's like, wait a minute, something's not adding up here. But the fact that they are starting to see it is encouraging.
It is. It is a little encouraging. Yeah. But yeah, that's all I got to say about that.
Okay.
And that's the end of that chapter.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, now, not to the next topic. Again, this is a local one. I think we did bring this up, or we did mention it on another stream. But for those of you unaware, the recall effort to oust Los Angeles District Attorney George Gascon failed.
A guy that Andy voted for because he loves
the guy that I voted for. Gosh. The guy, who's like, who's all about, no cash bail, and, what is it, basically being the public defender when he's supposed to be the prosecutor, the chief prosecutor in the city.
Yeah.
But the organizers, they did collect more than enough signatures than required. But
I was one of them.
Yeah, exactly. They did collect more than enough signatures, and then, what is it? I guess the left found that comb, that they found that comb to properly go through all of those signatures, to ensure that that those signatures were valid, and they found that something close to like 30,000 of them were like couldn't be verified, or were or repeat signatures.
Yeah, I'm sure they were.
So hallelujah for them being able to find that comb that they lost 2 years ago.
Yeah, but if it was flip flopped around, oh no, there's no need. It's
I mean, what is it like? Yeah, they called for the recall election for Gavin Newsom. They freaking called it for him like 2 hours into like the supposed count. And like not even all of the districts like even reported in yet. With like their final tally, they're like they had just begun, and there's like, oh yep, it all goes to Gavin Newsom.
Yeah, and I think this is another thing that, well, maybe not Los Angeles or like California in general, but I think there's a lot of people that are starting to wake up to the idea like, wait a second, something's not right here. and we're starting to see some movement, definitely in other states, where they are really starting to solidify the voting laws, to make, putting in stiffer penalties, putting in kind of like precautionary laws to prevent what happened 2 years ago. But let's be honest, this is not the first time this has happened. This has been going on for decades. I mean, hell,
Yeah, I mean, like Tammany Hall, JFK,
Lyndon Johnson
Lyndon
stole his
Johnson.
1948. And back in like the 90s, they're like, yeah, he stole it. It's like, well, he already became senator, became vice president, then president, and he did all his damage, and he's dead. So that's too late. Great,
Right.
you figured it out, but like it's too fucking late.
Yeah, not a moment too late.
Yeah. So it's like, so but I think that, like I said, this is another one where the majority of the public is like, something's just not right. It doesn't feel right that this houseplant of a person got the most votes in history. I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, say what you will about Trump, but like the people that love him, and like they back him like at great personal expense to them. But where are the crowds, with the Build Back Better hats? Where are the crowds with the F Donald Trump flags?
Crickets.
Crickets. They're not there. They don't exist. Or they might have died long time ago.
Those rallies were fucking snooze fests.
Right? Yeah.
Ooh, yay. That was the type of reaction you get when Joe Biden was rallying.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Yeah, like the times they did step out of the basement.
Yeah.
And like with the rings of 6 feet, and like the rings of 6 feet, and like the tens of people that came to see him.
So, like I said, optically, I think just optically, you can say like something stinks here. But I can't. It's like there's the idea in Beverly Hills Cop, like where the lieutenant was like, "Don't tell me what you can prove. Tell me what you know." It's kind of or like in Training Day, like the Democrats were like, "It's not what you can prove. It's not what you know.
It's what you can prove."
Yeah, it's kind of the opposite ends of the spectrum. The majority of the public is like, we know something's wrong, and the Democrats like, well, prove it.
Yeah. Like it's funny, like they're almost daring you to be like, yeah, I dare you to prove it.
Yeah, and there is a lot of, like I said, one of the films that's out there, which was 2000 Mules, done by Dinesh D'Souza and True the Vote. And I'll be honest, yes. Do they have like, damning, like exactly like, oh, we know that these ballots were for Joe Biden? No, we can't. We'll never know that.
Yeah, we'll never know.
But this is something that like Democrats have been doing for a while. But the fact that it's even happening, just the what they're seeing from, which is the evidence of the people are doing the ballot stuffing, that seems pretty much like there's no doubt about it. There's ballot stuffing going on. And that should worry anybody. And what there's I know they've sent they had people that have sent that movie to every congressman and senator. They mailed them all. They mailed them out to all of them. So if you're really concerned, I mean, obviously, like, I am pretty sure our California representatives threw that shit in the trash. But if you are a concerned citizen about stuff like this, where voter integrity, talk to your congressperson, talk to your senator, and like, hey, did you watch 2000 Mules? What did you think about it? Like, are we doing anything to solidify, the security of our voting efforts, so that we don't have people need to be. It doesn't matter like what side of the aisle you're on. You should feel secure about like the person that you got a fair shake when it came to your ballot, and that definitely did not happen in 2020. But there's been a lot of times where I'm like, we didn't. There's a lot of times I don't feel like we get a fair shake with our ballot. It's
No,
like
of
where
course
like,
not.
well, I don't. People that are supremely Nancy Pelosi is not a popular person at
No,
all,
no, she's
but
not.
she's remained in office for longer than I think, what, like 95 or whatever. Like, she's been in office for a fucking long ass time. Well, she's been in politics since before we were.
Something like that. Yeah,
She's been in politics since before we were born, but she's been,
yeah.
at
In the
her
House, yeah, she's been in the House for at least since the '90s.
forever, and no one likes her. So how is it that she keeps getting voted in? It doesn't make any sense to me. And it's probably because, like, okay, well, she probably either, they use these tactics of ballot stuffing. That's been going on for decades. This is not a new thing. It's just now I think more.
Whoa, '87.
She's been in the House since 1987.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, she wasn't speaker, obviously, but it says.
Dude.
Before election to Congress, she chaired the California Democratic Party from 1981 to 1987. Currently in her 18th term, Jesus. Pelosi was first elected to Congress in 1987 special election. Jeez.
Holy shit.
Yes, she's been in Congress as long as you've been alive.
I know, that's fuck, dude. 18 terms? That's too long. Oh, God. Oh.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, when I read that, I was like, 18 terms? Sheesh.
Good Lord.
Oh, talk about long in the tooth.
Oh, ugh, Skeletor. I mean, she made some sort of deal with the devil. Like, she's someone that should be dead too.
I don't know. Like, yeah, and her eyebrows keep like shifting from like here to like up here and back down and to the side. I don't know. But
that's a swamp.
Yeah, creature. And I mean, it's just and just talk to anyone on the left or something. Just like, okay, what if it was the shoe was on the other foot? What if what if there was all these irregularities and then Trump ended up being voted in again? Wouldn't you and the Republicans kept saying like, oh, there's no fire to that smoke. It's like, oh, it's like, oh, fake news.
Yeah.
It's like, imagine like if your concerns were just dismissed as easily as that our concerns are being dismissed.
Yeah, it'd be horrifying, and I don't want that either. I don't want there to be shenanigans in any election. I want it to be.
And I mean, yeah, okay. I'm not saying, but after the 2020 elections, I said it. I said it back when it happened, but I was just like, America is no different than any other country now.
No,
literally we're no different anymore, because before we at least could say like, oh, our elections are at least like above board, mostly, but now it's just like now we're no different than any like third world dictatorship. It's like, and it's like, oh, look at this person who's been in power for 30 years. Oh, look at that. and who's like known to be like this, psychotic despot. It's like, oh, look at that, he got reelected for the 30th time. I think, did we lose Robert? Hold on, stand by. Okay, the connection is kind of poor. Let's see if we're able to get him back. But yeah, like I said it when it happened, but yeah, we. Oh, there we go. We got him back.
Am I back?
You're back. Okay. Did you hear the last thing that I said?
Yeah, no, I've heard everything you said.
Okay. Okay, great. Yeah, but yeah, we're no different than any country now because yeah, like our elections are just as sketch as a third world dictatorship where like the psychopathic despot is surprisingly reelected for the 30th time.
Right. So it's just yeah, you should be worried about like shit like this, and it's the fact that I mean, hell, Chesapeake in San Francisco got ousted. I mean, that is a town like where like they hate this guy, and when San Francisco drops one of their own like that, like it's bad.
Well, it's because of the Asians.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, because Asians are the ones who are attacked, so they're the ones most affected by his policies. So Asians mobilized. Similarly with the school board stuff, it's Asians who are disproportionately harmed by the school board's policies. Because what is it, like one of like the top like magnet or college prep high schools in the Bay Area. They for a long time it was merit based, right? So like your grades and whatnot, right. And who always outshines everybody? The Asians. Yep. And like the school board was trying to move it to so that they that particular school started doing a lottery, and no longer considered what is it, the grades or performance, and like the Asians like, what the fuck? No, and that's how like they ousted 3 of like the most radical of the school board members out by like overwhelming numbers. Like I think like something like something around like 70%.
Jeez, wow.
Yeah. Asians, man, yeah, like don't fuck around with Asians, all right? Because we understand the value of hard work.
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean that's happening, and I think people in Los Angeles are tired of just the crime rate spiking, the rampant like burglaries, the homelessness, just people kind of living in filth everywhere, and the fact that we have a guy who's like, yeah, it's okay, they only stabbed a couple people, it's fine, yeah, it's okay. It's like, no, it's not okay. But because we have very suspect voting integrity, all of a sudden, the recall thing, where the majority of people hate this guy and think he's doing a terrible job, but he somehow beat out the recall somehow. It makes me highly doubt that.
Yeah, really sus, yeah, I don't know, like I honestly don't know what it's gonna take.
Me either.
For LA specifically, it's just like, you constantly hear on the news about, these people, being attacked. I mean, what is it? You had that girl in like, in West Hollywood that was, killed by, again, someone who has a criminal record. It isn't just like this, this guy who's like, hard, down on his luck and just needs a helping hand up out of the gutter. This guy is a career criminal, You know,
Yep.
and you see the progression of, you know, like he has like uh, multiple was it mugshots, and you could see, like, you know, like the beginning of his career, like he's mostly clean cut, and then like slowly his hair's getting nappier, and you know. And again, you can make the argument by like, oh, what's the system? The system is like, you know, that, you know, that didn't rehabilitate him properly or whatever. It's just like why are you taking agency out of this guy? You know, taking away agency from this guy. You're saying that he's like some dumb like nigger, and like, you know, he can't be responsible for his actions.
Yeah, it's stupid. And this is where, like, the other thing too is prison is not necessarily like it's not for rehabilitation. It's justice. You have and you know
Right.
it's
You know what? That's a really good point, because like I don't know like when did it switched over, but like, you know, like the whole idea of, you know, prison being about rehabilitation, like, no, it's about justice. It's about punishment.
yeah. Um, Now, do I think that there are people that are in prison that don't belong there? Well, yeah. I mean, obviously, just look at like the freaking January 6 people. Yeah, I definitely believe that there are people in prison that don't belong there. And yeah, should there be some sort of change in that direction? Absolutely. But the majority of, I would say the high majority of people that are in prison, they're just in for like, a non-violent drug offense. But what they don't tell you is that he pled down from, I murdered like 30 people, but I had a good lawyer who helped me plead down. So it just,
Yeah.
I mean,
I rolled on someone higher up above me.
exactly. That person doesn't belong in society, and they should be there forever. Rapists, pedophiles, if not outright just killed, they should never be allowed out ever. Um, and yeah, could there be like for people who are in prison for non-violent offenses? Well, like let's say like they are cheats, they're kind of like more like the white collar crimes.
Mm-hmm.
Should they be able to have a way where they're able to come back into society and like have a job, stuff like that? I think that could be a little bit easier, but yeah, like they had to do their time. You committed a horrible crime,
Mm-hmm.
um, and you
Right.
have to do the time.
Right.
It's
Yeah,
justice
and
for the
even
people.
like, for those like non-violent, like more like white collar kind of uh, criminals, like I would even be in favor of them like regaining like their rights.
Yeah, I think with like the white collar crimes, absolutely, I think that'd be fine.
Yeah, I mean, like, but yeah, but like the more hardened kind of criminal types, yeah, no, like,
No,
you know,
no,
like even if you completely you know, turn over your life in prison, like, you know, and
doesn't matter.
it doesn't matter, like, that's it, you're done. But like, yeah, like more, yeah, but like for those
You
white,
don't get to vote. You don't get to have a.
yeah,
You
you
don't
don't get
get to have.
to, yeah, carry a firearm.
You don't get any of that stuff
No.
outside of like having the free speech. That's about the only right that you would retain.
Yeah, yeah. Or yeah, and that would be the only right that I'd be actually in favor of you to be retained or granted back to you.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, yeah, kudos to the California Communist Party, or otherwise known as the Democrats, for finding that comb to be able to go through all those signatures for the George Gascon recall.
great job, guys.
Great job, guys.
And I'm pretty sure they're like the 30,000 they found. It's bullshit, but yeah, hey, but they're at least. Oh, we want to make sure that this is super authentic.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, now I'm glad you finally found your fortitude.
Yeah, jeez. All right. I think yeah, I think we talked that one down to the foundations.
Yeah,
All right, let's wrap it up tonight's stream with our movie review. And again, to just remind you, tonight's movie review is for the movie Witness for the Prosecution, again starring Charles Laughlin, Tyrone Powers, Marlene Dietrich. Let me hit y'all with a synopsis and we'll get going. The the affable Leonard Vole is being tried for the murder of a wealthy woman, and legendary lawyer Sir Wilfred Robarts has chosen to represent him. Unfortunately, Leonard's alibi depends on the testimony of his callous wife, Christine, who, after the discovery of a legal loophole, makes the shocking decision to appear in court against him. To Sir Wilford's surprise, this is only the first in a series of puzzling revelations and reveals. I'm sorry. This is only the first in a series of puzzling revelations and reversals.
Oh yeah. Well, this is our second straight Billy Wilder film. I actually didn't know that until I was working on the review for this. It's like, oh shit, it's Billy Wilder that was the director of this film. We just did Ace in the Hole last week, and this movie is a Billy Wilder classic. It was based off of a Agatha Christie play. So if you're fans of Murder on the Orient Express or Death on the Nile, stuff like that, this is one of her works. We last visited Charles Lawton, although he was not the actor, he was the director of Night of the Hunter. Let's see, we haven't done anything with Tyrone Power as far as a review goes, but this is actually his last movie that he ever did before his death. He had started working on another film after this, but died of a heart attack, and so during the middle of filming, so they ended up having to recast him in that film. I think it's a sword and sandal epic of some sort. I think it was like Samson and Bathsheba or something like that.
Oh yeah, that's right. He played Samson.
Yeah, that's who he was supposed to play, but they ended up having to recast him.
Oh wait, you're right. Yeah, but that guy, he does look like Tyrone Powers a bit.
He does look a little bit like Tyrone Power, yeah. But no, he was supposed to play Samson, but who actually would have been perfect for that role. Just he died. I don't know if we've done any Marlene Dietrich films before. And then obviously the nurse is played by Charles
Lanchester.
Yeah, and she was, you'll know her as the Bride of Frankenstein, and that's the wife of Charles Lawton, which their rapport together is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. I never put this together, but remember when when he first comes home and she's getting the bed ready for him for his nap. And she's talking about about the prospective client of Leonard Vole, and how she was talking about, oh yeah, I almost married a barrister once. I wonder if she's talking about him.
Well, he said, didn't she say that, like, oh, but he ended up dying or something like that?
Right, but I wonder, like, yeah, it's thin. It doesn't. Yeah, you're right. It doesn't track.
I mean, but it's funny to think about that. Like, it could have possibly been Sir Wilfrid.
Right, exactly. Like, maybe, and again, like, because of their rapport and like their kind of what is it, like almost like tit for tat kind of sniping at each other. Maybe it was just like
there's definitely a connection between those two. Like I have a feeling that by after this movie ends, like I'm sure that there's some sort of like love connection between those two after this film.
Right. Or like maybe like something like set up, like this was something set up for something like that. But never really materializing as like a franchise. But it's interesting because their dynamic reminds me of what is it? Two characters from one of my favorite series, Suits, and it's that of Harvey Specter and his secretary Donna Paulson, and they kind of have a similar type of relationship. But you do know that Harvey and Donna hooked up before.
Oh yeah, so you get like kind of that. There's like that spiciness and like their relationship.
There's like this intimacy and familiarity but it's like, but like through the vast majority of the series, it's always kind of like a restraint, like because again, like well, I mean, maybe I'm giving away too much, but because I really recommend this series, because it's like the dialogue and everything is just so great. But like in a flashback, you do see when Harvey because he used to work at the DA's office, and then he gets fired, and then and Donna was his secretary at the DA's, and then after he gets fired, he's no longer her boss, and so they hook up. But then he gets an offer to go work at this law firm that like his other mentor is one of the partners at, and so like he brings Donna along as his secretary again, and so like their romance is kind of like put on hold throughout most of the series. And so
Oh
like
man.
yeah, so there's always like this tension, like because
Yeah.
they hooked up, but then they now like they're back to like boss employee status, and so
It's weird.
yeah, so it's weird, but then they still have like this really great like rapport with one another. So like yeah, like they're like Wilford's and like Elsa Lanchester's characters relationship kind of reminds me of that.
Yeah. When did you first come to witness for the prosecution, Andy?
Well, through you, of course, and I think it was after we had done what was that one with Jimmy Stewart? He played the lawyer.
Anatomy for
Right, Anatomy. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was after that because we watched that, and you had told me that it's a really good movie is Witness for the Prosecution, and I think we were hanging out, and so we
Yeah.
watched it. You played it for me, and my God, yeah, I absolutely love this movie right away.
Yeah.
Just like because just like the writing and just like the performances of like Charles Lawton and Elsa Lanchester and their dynamic, and just like everyone in this movie is just performing their asses off. Really. I mean, Tyrone Powers, Marlene Dietrich.
Every character is super captivating. Like even like all the side characters, like Brogan Moore and like all like the staff,
Mayhew,
like,
Carter.
Yeah, it's like they're all like fun little characters that like you get a small snippet into their lives, and it's like they're all awesome, and the people that are the actors behind it, like they're acting their asses off. Like they are really bringing it. And because I came to this movie, I was watching a lot of those Agatha Christie, whatchamacallit, the Agatha Christie movies.
All right, inspired by her books.
Yeah, and then I had also been watching a lot of courtroom drama films, and that's where like kind of I whatever the algorithm was like, well, if you like these films, you're gonna love this one, and that's how I found Witness for the Prosecution, and it just blew me away. It's just like I was shocked for a movie like of that time to have that many like twists and turns. I was just like, whoa, I couldn't believe it.
Right. Yeah, it's funny because like at the end of the movie, there's like this kind of voiceover, and it says like, it kind of asks that you not spoil the ending of this movie when you're telling or recommending it to people.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's like, but this movie is like over 50 years old, so it's like I think uh, I think even if we did spoil it, we wouldn't ruin the enjoyment of this movie.
No, I don't think so, because you like the movie that I was thinking about, like that I definitely know was inspired by Primal Fear.
I stopped to watch that.
Yeah, Primal Fear has a lot of Witness for the Prosecution in it. Just because you have like this really powerful defense attorney. Well, obviously it's this one takes place in England, so he's a barrister. But Richard Gere's character in Primal Fear, he's this hard-hitting defense attorney, and a lot of shit happens, and like he goes balls to the wall for his client to get him acquitted. And the twist at the end of that movie, it breaks your freaking heart. Like you see like everything that we'll talk about Primal Fear at some other point, but like just the look, the Richard Gere's face, like the way that you're like your heart breaks along with him. It's like, what have I done?
Mm.
And oh man, it just and that's how I felt like watching this movie. It's just like,
Okay.
oh, he's like, oh shit, what have I
Right.
done?
Right.
Because this is like Sir Wilfrid, he is like the top guy. Everyone, when like when they're need a good defense, the guy everyone's going to is Sir Wilfrid, in his law firm. He's the
Mm-hmm.
guy.
Yeah.
He's like, and he does test his clients to see like their fortitude, if like they're and I almost wonder because we are definitely how the movie starts is that he's coming out of the hospital after he had a massive heart attack,
Mm-hmm.
and he is kind of um he's probably like close to like not his death, but like he needs to take a step back
Right.
from
Yeah. He's definitely been running on all cylinders for just a little bit too long. Not really taking care of himself because like he is a very corpulent person.
yeah yeah and
Yeah. For those of you not in the know, corpulent just means fat.
yeah, and Charles Laughton's a big dude.
Yeah, he's a
He's
big
just a
dude.
big jovial guy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he's probably hasn't been taking care of his health. Like he's running on cigars and bourbon most of the
Mm-hmm.
time, and a lot of late nights, a lot of cigar and a lot of bourbon, and probably not a lot of good food.
Mm-hmm.
And it took its toll, and he got knocked on his ass. And so and he's been practicing law for 40 years almost, going back to like 1915
Mm-hmm.
is like when his butler Carter was talking about. It's like, I've been with you since your very first trial, sir. And I think that had this been and I would love to see like the original adventures of Sir Wilfrid and his law firm.
Mm-hmm.
I would totally be in on that. But I think that had he have been in better health, I wonder if he would not have been caught off guard by what Leonard Vole and his wife pulled.
I'm sorry. Repeat that last part.
No, I'm saying that like had he been in better health,
Uh-huh.
because I think maybe he's missing a step a little bit.
Mm. Oh,
I
okay.
I wonder if he would have, if he was the younger version of him, would have caught on to what they were doing.
Mm, right, yeah, because of like yeah, because of his ailments and recent hospital visit, yeah, like not like yeah, not picking up on all like the little subtleties.
And actually, even in subsequent viewings, like, and I as the audience, even when I know the twist at the end, I'm still like, you know what? I believe this guy. I don't think he did it, and
Right, yeah.
he's still yeah, and like because we've seen it several times together now. I don't think of Leonard Vole as like the bad guy in the film.
Hmm. Right, yeah. Like even when I watched it again just yesterday, yeah, I knew what the outcome of the movie was, but Leonard Vole is just like he's so damn likable,
And,
It's
and I actually think that was perfect casting to put Tyrone Powers in that role,
mhm.
because I think the audience too make it, the people will know Tyrone Powers, like he's kind of like the swashbuckling kind of a action
Right.
adventure guy.
Hmm.
He's the hero in a lot of these films outside of Nightmare Alley, where he's
Hmm.
such a dick.
Right.
uh, but this is another film kind of like where he stepped outside his comfort zone, but kind of similar to how we view Henry Fonda in Once Upon a Time in the West, where like seeing this guy who's played all these good roles, and all of a sudden now he's the bad guy. No one fucking expected that, and it was so shocking. And I think the same thing here. People are like, yeah, he's not the bad guy. He's the good. He's innocent.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that would not it. Back when this movie came out in theaters, I think that knocked them all in their ass, the audience.
Right, because like even with the twist of um, you know Leonard Voll's wife appearing for the prosecution, like you see like him like just like his heart wrenching over like the betrayal of his wife or supposed betrayal of his wife, and
Yeah,
and it's like you really feel that and it's like and like you totally believe that he's going through like this pain of having to sit there and have his wife like lie about him
yeah. Well, and because if
or
anything,
supposedly lie about him.
you think that Christine, his wife, is the bad guy because
Mm-hmm.
we don't know what her intentions are, and in reality, Leonard Voll is the manipulator. He's not the he is the powerhouse, but like the whole movie, we go throughout thinking that Christine is the one with the pants and has the willpower,
Right. Yeah. I mean,
and
she kind of
like
plays it kind of like typical like ice cold German bitch.
exactly because like you kind of hate her character. It's like what
Mm-hmm.
the fuck is she doing? Like she's this bigamist woman who like she got her she got out of Berlin, at the end of the war, and she's like, "Fuck this guy," pretty much. And it's like, wow, you're horrible.
Mm-hmm.
And in reality, she was the one that was being manipulated the entire time. It's like, whoa. And you get, and I think the only like telltale sign, and this is where, as a cinephile, you start to notice like where like these great directors, like Billy Wilder included, they don't these guys don't just put stuff in their movies for no reason because like up in the audience, the people viewing the
The
courtroom.
trial, yeah.
Yeah. So obviously we have obviously his nurse is going to be there because she's the one, she's kind of keeping an eye on him. It's like, hey, we got it's time to take your pills.
Yeah, yeah. Take your medicine. Yeah.
But there's this woman that's also there that the camera seems to focus on, and
Yeah.
like
And
she's
yeah,
like,
not just because she's sitting next to the nurse.
yeah, it's like it's almost
Yeah,
because
and
they put
it's
different places.
right, and you don't really think about it, but then like you see how like she's pretty invested in this trial.
Like I can understand like if people are like, oh, this is a very interesting trial. Like, I want to know
Mm-hmm.
what's going on, but like you don't start fucking crying
Right. Yeah.
for
Like
the
yeah, yeah, because like again, like for some reason she was really invested in this trial and like she like really paying attention and like hearing the testimony of his wife, just like basically saying like yeah I lied, I lied, and so like like you see like her like crying over that and just like yeah, I mean I know women are more empathetic, but just like geez.
not like that.
Yeah, not
I'm
like
sorry.
this. Yeah. But like yeah,
And
I like again like yeah, like at first viewing like I didn't even think about like this girl like her or even like think about like the color of her hair because that's that's a point of yeah, that's a point of what's the word I'm looking for? That's the point of interest.
yeah, because there's a point in the trial where he talks about like, yeah, I was like kind of just walking around, guy, I have no money, I don't really have a job at the
Yeah,
moment,
yeah,
but
and like yeah, I met this girl at this bar and I wanted to kind of like show off. And she like yeah, what is it, like the travel agent said like, oh yeah, he came in with a clingy brunette,
yeah, and
and
it's
it's just
like
like yeah, and like it didn't like the first time I watched it, it didn't even like think, it didn't like occur to me like this girl is a brunette.
yeah, and that's one of those things like that might be the only telltale sign that something's not right in the movie, and like I said, that's just something where like Billy Wilder is placing that clue for the audience to see, but like they don't know it. It's and like I said, that's really the only thing. Why are we seeing this? Like, because that's what I was thinking about. Like through these subsequent viewings, like, wow, why are we seeing her? Oh, this is a clue right here. Yeah, because like there's nothing like done through like without like it's done on purpose.
Right.
And hell, even like the way that Christine is doing things, like she's very smart in how like she um uh just the way that she plays the whole thing. It's like, wow, I was really blown away by that. And Marlene Dietrich just played it to a perfection. Like, I don't
Mm-hmm.
think you could get there's no I'm not sure like there's any actress today that could pull off the that type of acting performance.
Mm. Yeah, because there was like this kind of like sensuous coldness to her performance.
The only actress I could maybe think that obviously she's not German, but like she might be able to pull this off is the girl from No Time to Die, Leah Seydoux. I think she could pull that off. Maybe she's French.
Oh, oh, you know who would it again? Again, not German, but I think Tilda Swinton, like maybe
Oh,
younger Tilda Swinton could pull it off.
oh, you know what? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, she'd be great in that. Like a younger Tilda Swinton.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, totally. She could pull
Yeah,
that off.
because she kind of does do that kind of performance, like in what is it, the first Narnia movie.
Oh yeah, yeah, of course, yeah, exactly. What what did you
Yeah.
think
Oh,
of?
oh, wait,
No,
answer.
sorry, no, no,
Go, no, no,
go to
no.
your.
Go ahead. Well, maybe we might be thinking the same thing. So ask your question.
Well, I was trying to think of like how I wanted to approach how we talk about this,
Uh,
because
okay, perfect then. One of the things I really enjoyed about this movie is that there weren't any flashback scenes. Like a lot of modern movies, a lot of movies when like they do kind of like these trial things, they'll as they talk, they'll like do like a cutaway into like a narration or and then into like a flashback, like kind of like depicting like that side of this, kind of like how they did in like Rashomon or the out is it called The Outlaw, the American version.
yeah, yeah, yeah. This is actually a lot. There is a lot of Rashomon in this because it's not a flashback per se, but we are being told the story from the
Right, and that, and
perspective
that's
of
and
Leonard
that's one of the
Vole.
things that I really appreciate, that they didn't cut to like a flashback depicting like the depicting the story through that person's point of view, and then all we got was their account of it. The only kind of flashback we got was when Tyrone Power's character and Marlene Dietrich's character meet for the first time.
But
Uh,
once again,
but in
that's
term,
just
but yeah, and like yeah, and we see a little bit of Tyrone Power's character first interaction with the murdered woman and like how their relationship kind of formed, but we don't see like the act itself. And I really enjoy that it's very much like hearsay or like he said she said.
yeah. It's not. We don't know if that's even the freaking truth.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's so great
Right,
about
but
it.
I appreciate that they don't like they don't do go through the trouble of depicting it.
Yeah, because well, when you're first watching it, you would think, yeah, this is a flashback, kind of, in a sense, like, oh, this is the story as it actually happened, because we are believing Leonard Vole, we're believing his story, we're believing what Christine is saying, and when you figure out, like, after you watch, you're like, oh shit, this really flipped on its freaking head, and then you
Mm-hmm.
go back and you watch it, it's like, this is probably all bullshit. Like, maybe the only story that has some semblance of truth is maybe how Christine and Leonard met, kind
Mm-hmm.
of, but even that might be bullshit.
Right, exactly.
Kind of like with like Rashomon. Like, yeah, all those stories. I mean, they have some semblance of truth, but it's all bullshit.
Yeah, yeah, precisely. And in terms for the audience, I'm glad they didn't, depict any of that to kind of like prejudice our minds.
Yeah.
And
Well,
so,
I
because
got, I
like,
got. real quick.
Okay, for sure. I'll just take over for a little bit. Yeah, but I really enjoy. Yeah, I really appreciate that they didn't like depict that because again, like hearing something and then seeing something are completely different things, and so and I like that it was set up for Tyrone Power's character Leonard Vole to be set to just you know even just his initial interactions with Sir Wilford and Mayhew and Brogan Moore, just like their interaction and and Tyrone Power just being super charming and winning them over so easily because then when later in the movie uh, with Christine saying like, oh, Leonard's a very likable person, and he has a way with women. And it's already been demonstrated that he's this really he's Leonard's this really likable guy, and so we don't need to see, um, and we don't really have to see anything else.
Yeah, I that just I'm still just even now I've seen this movie about like 5-6 times now, and I'm still just blown away by his total performance because like it's still every time I watch it's like I fucking believe the guy that he's innocent.
Mm-hmm. Precisely because because like a little bit of his because of physicality because he's a handsome guy and so it's and it's been proven through psychology that we tend to give the benefit of a doubt to attractive people.
Yeah.
Um,
Um but I was gonna say like what did you think because Charles Lawton's performance is also just really
oh my
brilliant.
god, yeah, I love him. I love him as Sir Wilford.
I see. I love a good smartass,
Mm-hmm.
and he plays that to perfection. He is a smartass.
Yeah,
He's a
he's
smartass.
a smart ass, yeah.
What did you think? What did you think of his performance? What did you like about it?
Oh yeah, I just loved it. I just loved his performance. Again, a smart ass is smart ass. He was just so like he was just so witty and he was just so quick with his quips. Um, and also he came ready to play. You know, particularly towards the end of the movie when he was citing all those precedences um, to counter the prosecution. And it's just like boom, 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 and it's um, he's the man. He was like the big daddy of that courtroom.
Oh yeah, it's like they're like when they knew that he was gonna be there, it's like fuck. The prosecutor's like fuck. I
I
don't
was like,
want
why
this
this guy? Damn it.
because everyone knows that he's smart.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and just kind of like even with with the housekeeper, Mrs. French's housekeeper, it's like, how did you know that that was them talking in the room? Like you can't hear you, and he used her like, he had looked into her medical history, found that
Mm-hmm.
she couldn't hear anything, and like she had applied to get hearing aids, and he just like he spoke in a normal voice. She could like, huh? It's
Yeah,
like
yeah, I
how,
couldn't hear him.
and it's like kind of like, how could you hear? He's shouting. It's like, so clearly you couldn't hear what was in that room. It could have been a television. It could have been whatever. You don't know. And well, and yeah, it just kind of went. And even the lady that played the housekeeper,
Mm.
she was great too. She just
Yeah, yeah, he's playing like that cranky Scottish lady. Yeah.
oh yeah, perfect.
Perfect.
When he was just railing into Christine,
Mm-hmm.
just like you could tell, like I mean, you almost saw his blood boil. It's like
Yeah,
what?
like you could see like the veins popping out, and it's like this is how he put himself into the hospital.
Yeah, it's like all I see is that you're a liar. It's like you just see like oh, fuck, like you can tell like he was like kind of doing like the whole. His
Yeah.
heart was beating out of his chest. Like that's
Mm.
how much he was into the case, and it's just like
Mm.
oh fuck, dude. um, I don't know. Like the other scene I really liked, which is you could think of it as just kind of a throwaway scene, and I don't know if you do this, but I definitely do this, where you are paying attention to something, whether it be like a lecture or whatever, it's something important, but then you start like kind of playing with things on the table, and he
Mhm.
like kind of dumped out his heart medicine, and he just started like kind of like organizing it. Like
Mhm.
I do that. Uh, I all the times, maybe not exactly that, but I do different things like that. And I don't know about you, but it does help me focus my mind. Like where like my hearing is focused on here, but it helps kind of clear my mind in a sense so that I can stay focused on like what I'm supposed to be focused on.
Right. Yeah. I mean, studies have shown that particularly when you're doing something uh, repetitive, you're able to actually retain more knowledge. So people who do kind of like repetitive kind of manual labor stuff, if they're listening to like a podcast or something, they're actually able to retain more of the knowledge, or more of what is more of the information that's being imparted than, say, like if they were just sitting down in a chair and listening to it. And so,
Yeah,
yeah, I think it's the same thing for like Sir Wilfrid, when even though like it's not his turn to talk, he's trying to stay engaged, so like he can hear what the prosecution's saying, and it's like so he can catch, like if the prosecution is excuse me, is leading the witness, or you know asking a question a certain way that they shouldn't be, and so that he's able to be like right on top of it.
yeah. It's just but I like that little touch because like god damn, I do the same fucking thing. It's just something like so little like that. I also like his, what they, his nurse always kept telling us, oh, we call him, Sir Wilfrid the Fox, because he would always kind of like do these sneaky things.
Mm-hmm.
The switching out the cocoa for the brandy, that's fuck, damned if I haven't done that myself. Okay, like I've done that a few times. Like, oh no, I'm gonna be, yeah, I'm not drinking anything, but
Right. Yeah.
uh, so it's just like little shit like that where I was like, I fucking love this guy. Uh, he's smart. He's definitely, we are led to believe, he's the smartest person in the room. Like he's
Mm-hmm.
smart. He's a step ahead of everyone else. Um, and what also makes him dangerous. He's super determined. Like when he's a dog that like
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
chasing after a car or a
Yeah.
bone.
He's
Like
dogged. Yeah. He's dogged.
kind of like similar to our main character in Ace in the Hole. Like Tatum, Chuck Tatum is also kind of the same thing, although in an
Mm-hmm.
evil way.
Yeah.
But he's also dogged. Just he's gonna get what he wants to get.
Right. But
Um,
like, yeah, and what's most impressive is that for Sir Wilfrid, even though like, yeah, he was in hospital, and his various ailments, he was still on it, because like towards the end of the movie, he was like saying like something, everything like kind of like lined up like too perfectly.
even though it's like he's like everyone else is like celebrating, and he's just sitting there. It's like fuck, something's not right.
Yeah, like, yeah, he was like saying like, I missed something. I've missed something.
Yeah, and he knows that he missed something. It's like, and I think like in his younger days, he wouldn't have missed it, but he
Mm-hmm.
knows like he's smart. He's still smart enough to know like something's not right here, and he's like, and what was it? It's like the way that it's like someone's they have their head in the noose and they're standing on a banana peel. It's like there's a banana peel here still
Right.
somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. Like,
And
yeah. Like someone's.
like it's
Yeah.
right
Yeah. Yeah. That was a really great line. I like it. I like that line.
yeah, and when Christine is because the Christine is getting mobbed by the audience and like the public because they think
Mm-hmm.
that she's just a
Yeah. Horrible woman.
real bitch.
Yeah.
Like you tried to destroy your husband's name and like how could you, and they probably still hate Germans at that point because
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's just like, yeah. The war is still not that far off.
I thought what this movie came out in what 52.
Something like that. And if like, yeah, if the timeline of when this 57.
57, yeah.
Yeah. So if like
So
if this movie came out, like, let's say like the years match up, then yeah, like it's less than no, more than
12
10
years.
years.
Yeah, 12 years, but that's still fresh in those people's mind.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
they
yeah.
this German woman. It's
Yeah.
like
Fuck this German, like burn her. But
yeah, exactly. So she ends up coming back. Wilfred is like, yeah, I'm gonna finish my bourbon before before I get put back into quarantine or whatever that his nurse was. And Christine comes in and she starts talking with him, and it's like she kind of reveals that she
yeah,
was
she's kind of Bond villains and starts monologuing and just tells him everything. That Leonard did kill this lady, and it was his idea for her to go and be a witness for the prosecution.
and that's where like this is no, this is before, like, she tells him this before the reveal that Leonard actually did kill her. Like she says, like, that you told me that my testimony was not gonna be helpful for the defense, so I became a witness for the prosecution, and I made it look like that I was attacking Leonard. And it's like, he's like, I suspected something. It's like, and when she reveals that, like, there was never any Max, the important letters that he gets, like,
Right.
that she created the whole thing, is like, and she does the whole, like, the Cockney voice or whatever that she had done, as in that act. And he's like, I suspected something, but not that shit. Like, why didn't you tell me? We could have done something. We could have helped each other out. But then it's like, well, no, because Leonard did it. Like, he didn't show up at like 9:25. He showed up at 10. He told me that he did this, and that, like, I did everything I could to help him be
Yeah,
innocent.
and again, kudos to the director Billy Wilder for not doing like a flashback and like showing, you know, uh,
Yes,
Leonard
that
like coming like depicting that scene and just like having Christine relay this information.
that like one movie that I think of that I think which I wish they hadn't done it, and it's like the one knock I have on it is Wild Things, where they show
Mm.
everything at the end.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That's my knock too on that, because at the end they show you all of like what how like basically how the sausage is made, and it's like, oh, that's disappointing.
Yeah, and that's why it's like, but Billy Wilder doesn't do that. Like, he just, like, we just get that reveal. It's like, oh shit, it was all bullshit. I
Mhm.
believe the guy. Oh
Yeah.
my
No.
god. And then with that shit eating grin, like, where, like, you definitely see, like, the turn, like the evil Leonard
Right.
Bolt, like, where he's just like, yeah, I did it. It's like, and it's like, I don't think, it's like, and then and what was even worse is, like, that Christine was the whip person. She was so under his control
Mhm.
that, like, that's where, like, you start to see, like, oh, she wasn't the one that was, like, kind of orchestrating everything. It was Leonard that was orchestrating everything. And he's like, I knew you'd do something, I just didn't know what. And man, what a performance. And that's where, like, that chick that had been up in the audience,
Yeah, the gallery.
she ran up and, like, started kissing him and hugging him, and he was like, yeah, I don't need you anymore, Christine. Pretty much, like,
Yeah, and it's like
he
crazy
just
because
breaks.
that girl was like kind of a bitch too. It's like, well, it's like you're much too old for him.
Oh yeah, that's why I was like, holy shit, that was. And yeah, and so she ended up, Christine ends up kind of just like, how could you, Leonard, and, like, she stabs him, and it's like, well, thank God for that. And
Although it was kind of like it is kind of bad form for the what is it? Was it was that evidence from the prosecution? But they left. Or was it?
that was supposedly the knife that was used to kill.
Or that was the
That was
one like that
supposedly
cut
to slice
himself.
his
Yeah.
heart. Yeah,
But was that evidence from the prosecution or the defense?
that was from the prosecution.
Okay. Well, it's bad on them for leaving it there.
Good, yeah, true.
Bad on them for leaving
Um,
it there. But do you think? because we see Wilfred and he's like playing with his monocle, and he's like reflecting the light, like because like that's his test for like testing people whether or not they're that they're if they're being honest or not is like he what's the word I'm looking for? He subjects them to his monocle reflecting light into their face, and if they like able to withstand it, then that means like that they're on the level. But at the end of the trial, and as it's revealed that Leonard is like this two-timing asshole. You see so Wefta playing with his monocle, and like it's reflecting light onto that knife, and Christine grabs it and like and kills Leonard with it. I'm wondering if like
I didn't catch that. Oh my god.
yeah. So Wilford kind of gives that speech about how it's like you like kind of like you won't get away with this. I wonder if like he purposely was kind of hinting to Christine, yes, kill this guy.
Oh shit! I missed that completely. Oh man, that makes so much sense.
Because he's like what? Because like the nurse was saying, like, oh my gosh, she murdered him, and he's like, and he corrected her. He's like, no, it wasn't murder. It was an execution. Meaning like he deserved it.
Yeah, well, I mean he did, but like
yeah, he did. Yes.
Oh man, that is.
And that's like him, like kind of like because I'm sure like he felt bad that he just helped get this guy off of murder. And so, like he in a sense of righteousness, he had to make things right.
Oh my god, that makes so much more sense.
Yeah, and that's why also he immediately jumps in to defend Christine.
Yeah, and like the whole team, Brogan Moore, the nurse, is like, well, let's get you some cigars and brandy and let's work on this defense.
Right?
It's like, and that's why I said like there's gonna be some sort of romance between those two after this movie.
Right.
It's like, but yeah, like Brogan Moore, Sir Wilfred, and the nurse, they're all and Carter, they're all like, yeah, let's get on this defense, like, and there could easily be like like another movie on like how they get Christine off. It's like I would totally see that. But yeah, oh my god, I how did I miss the monocle being shown on the knife? That makes so much more sense, and other than like just her in some like random.
Yeah, just happen to be seeing the knife. Yeah.
Oh man, that I now I need to watch it again to just to see that. I was like, see, that's why I like this movie and why I love having these conversations about them is because there's things that you see that I don't, and vice versa. And then we kind of like we work through this, and when you have these, this is another one of those perfect movies to me. Like I can't think of anyone that I would rather have in that role. I can't think of anyone else who could do a better acting job. And Billy Wilder as a director, like he has that eye for just like those little details that you might not pick them all up at once, but over time you're gonna start catching them. It's like, oh, I see what he's doing there.
Right, and he really is a magician because like the whole thing with like the young brunette girl, like you kind of disregard that. It's kind of like the magician when he does something to distract you and just and you don't like pay it, and then so you don't pay attention. It's like he totally kind of what is it? It's a film term. It's like hangs the lantern on that one. It's like
yeah,
he brings it up, but he brings it up in a way for you like that you like just dismiss it from your mind.
Yeah, what a fucking movie, what a performance. This might be my favorite court movie.
Yeah, it's definitely up there. Like I would like at least top 3, along with like My Cousin Vinny.
Yeah, I mean that's if I was gonna choose like my top 5 court movies, right? There is this one. I don't have, like these aren't in any particular order. There's this one, My Cousin Vinny, To Kill a Mockingbird, Primal Fear, and Anatomy of a Murder.
Okay.
I think those are my top 5.
Okay. Okay, if we're doing this. Again, no particular order, but of course, witness for the prosecution, my cousin Vinny, uh, what is it? A few good men.
Yeah, that's
Few good men. Yeah, Anatomy of a Murder. That was a good one too. And you know what? I'm giving it a Rashomon. That's
oh,
technically a
I,
courtroom
I,
too.
I I always forget that that's a court movie. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's a
you know
court.
what?
It's
I might switch out To Kill a Mockingbird for Rashomon.
okay.
Yeah, I always space it that yeah, it's a different style of movie or a
It's
different
a different
style of
style of
court. Yeah.
courtroom. Yeah.
Oh fuck yeah, that's definitely up there. That they and then honorable mention goes to A Few Good Men and To Kill a Mockingbird for me.
Mm.
But yeah, why don't we give our rating for the film?
All right. I'm gonna give this a 5. This movie is
Yeah.
just so great. I love it. Everything is like perfect. Perfect casting. Perfect performance. Perfect direction.
Yeah, I can't argue there. For all the same reasons. It just this is not like where oh we got the twist like it's no we don't need to watch this movie anymore. No, even when you know the twist, even it's actually even better when you know the twist. It's like oh
Mm-hmm.
shit, like then you start picking up like the small details, the telegraphing that goes to the film, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
oh
Yeah, and it's
wow,
like,
how did
and
this
it's not like the ham-fisted kind of telegraphing that we see nowadays, but it's like it's very subtle.
very subtle. Because like even like I said, every time I've watched it, I was like, fuck, I believe Leonard. I totally believe that he's innocent. Um, and this is where like because there I don't know if you know this, but there is a remake of this film from like the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Now it was not a theatrical release. It was a TV movie, and it everything that was right about this film they just missed it. And like if I had seen like now if I had seen like the remake first, it's a fine performance. It's okay. I mean, you get Donald Pleasance, who's great in it.
Mm-hmm.
Like uh, he's the prosecutor in the remake.
Mm-hmm.
But like the what makes Charles Lawton so great, like he has so much spunk,
Mm-hmm.
and the guy that plays Sir Wilfrid in the remake is kind of like so flat. It's just like I'm bored to tears by his performance. He's playing it so
Yeah, Charles Lawton, he has like that perfect amount of like British sass.
yeah, like it's that's why I was like, no one else can like can. I mean, I feel bad for the guy that like had to follow up the Charles Lawton performance in
Mm-hmm.
doing this remake. You can't win. Like you don't. No one has that fortitude to like to really do it, and so it's really just the remake is disappointing. I don't encourage people to watch it outside of like just as like oh what did they do different, if anything. And even like the guy that they have playing Leonard Bull, like Beau Bridges, like although I do like Beau Bridges, he is not believable at all in this fucking film. Like I don't believe his performance at all. um
You know,
but yeah, no, this one is just perfect.
maybe if they got his brother, Jeff Bridges.
If they got Jeff Bridges, yes,
Yeah,
that would be the better casting in my opinion.
right. Yeah, because what is it? Because I mean, nothing. I can't pinpoint to like any of his like earlier stuff, but in Iron Man, he's totally believable as the surrogate father figure.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, and I think like that's the same kind of energy that not exactly Tyrone Powers gives, but like it's like but Jeff Bridges, I know he can do that kind of energy where it's like, oh yeah, it's like, I'm just looking out for you, Tony, and then all of a sudden he's like, I'm going to kill you.
Yeah, that's where it's like when you finally see that like that twist in Iron Man, it's like oh shit, like he was the bad guy. God damn.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, that would be like that would be the right. person that could pull, that has that gear in him.
Right. To
And
play
like
Leonard Hole.
all the films that we had, at that time that we had seen Jeff Bridges in, he's pretty like amicable guy. Like, he's a nice guy. He's usually the good guy. And when you like realize that he's a piece of shit, it's like, oh god, that would have been a much better performance too. It would have made the remake a little bit better. But yeah, I think casting Tyrone Power in that role was perfect, because no one, to be honest, like as much as I love Nightmare Alley, nobody watched it. So
Yeah.
they probably, by the time Witness for the Prosecution came out, no one thought of that movie or that performance. They just remembered him from his great like heroic adventure films, and
Yeah.
like he was
Yeah, he played Zorro.
Yeah, he's like the good hero that like you love. And it turns out he's the bad guy. People probably flip their shit watching that. I certainly did. But yeah, it's a 5-star for me. This movie's so good. I can't recommend it highly enough.
Yeah, there you go. That's our review for Witness for the Prosecution. Both Rob and I give this a 5. Watch this movie, all right? Find a way. It's available on Tubi right now for free. So
yeah,
Tubi's for free. So
there ain't no fucking region locking either on this shit.
he's so angry. Rob's so angry.
Really.
But all right, yeah, folks, that's our stream for tonight. I hope you had a good time. I had a good time. I know Rob always has a good time.
I feel better. I do feel better after kind of getting some stuff off my chest today. So yeah.
Yeah. All right. Don't forget to check out the library of other content that we have. The Circular Jerks main podcast, Nocturnal Transmissions, of course, and Rob's gaming show, Up by Up Down. Don't forget to follow us on our various social media accounts, Twitter and Letterboxd @PodcastCOJ, and Instagram @Circular Jerks Podcast. And with all that said, we thank you for joining us tonight. Come back next week, and we'll do it all over again. Have a good night.
Sounds like a plan.